Shohei Ohtani returns to the Big A, but Mookie Betts steals the show as the Dodgers defeat the Angels in extra innings. We'll talk about the win for the Dodgers, the loss for the Angels on tonight's special crossover edition of the Locked On Angels and Locked On Dodgers postcast right now.
You are Locked On MLB Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, Halo Nation. Hello, Halo hopefuls. And hello, Dodger fans. And welcome to this special crossover edition of the Locked On Angels and Locked On Dodgers postcast here live on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel and after the fact, wherever you get both the Locked On Angels and Locked On Dodgers podcast feeds. I'm Gavin Carlson, spent 4 years as a credentialed journalist in the LA area. I do the postcast for the Angels, of course, and I'm joined tonight by a very happy Pete Fox, of course, the Dodgers postcast host, also does the Chargers, USC, all that good stuff. Also a legend in the LA radio space, ESPN, NBC Sports, all that good stuff. And he's a happy guy today.
We got it rolling, Gavin. It's 6 in a row and a huge Trojan win. Life is pretty good right now in LA.
Yeah, I not for you, because I'm a UCLA guy, as you know, so I'm not too pleased that the Trojans were able to knock off LSU on Sunday. Heck of a game, though. But we're not here to talk about the Trojans. We're here to talk about the Dodgers beating the Angels in what was basically a home game for the Dodgers. We kind of expected that. Obviously, the story coming in was the first game for Shohei Ohtani returning to the Big A. We'll get into that in a bit. The ovation, some boos, but mainly cheers, and a solid return to the Big A for him in terms of his performance. But of course, this game goes into extras, and Mookie Betts is able to really blow this one wide open with a big-time 3-run home run to push this one to 6-2 for the Dodgers. Before we jump into this one, before Pete gets to gloat about his Dodgers doing what we expected against the Angels, quick shout out to all of you being in here, both my loyal Angels postcasters and the Dodgers postcasters. No fire, managers in the chats tonight. It looks like just some peaceful, chatting between the Angels and Dodgers fans. Before we jump into this one, quick shout out to the sponsor of today's show. It is FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And where we get started, Pete, is, of course, the top of the 10th inning. I don't know about the Dodgers, but I know that the Angels have really struggled in extra innings, not just this year, but in the last couple of years. They never seem to know how to get enough runs on the board. Obviously, they didn't put up any runs in the bottom of the 10th, but obviously it didn't really matter because Mookie Betts, not Shohei Ohtani, who had a solid game, but Mookie Betts comes through with a big 3-run fly ball. And, you don't need me to tell you this, Pete. The reason the Dodgers are so darn dangerous is because if you do what the Angels did in this inning in walking Shohei Ohtani, can you blame the Angels for walking Shohei Ohtani? But guess what? It doesn't work out very well when the next guy up is Mookie Betts. Absolutely destroys his 15th homer of the year, 421 feet. I see some DFA Roansy Contreras chats from the Angels fans. Obviously, him giving up the big 3-run home run. What were your thoughts, Pete, on just the 10th inning and the Dodgers kind of maybe being a little bit closer than you would like, having this one go to extras, but obviously pulling away in the end?
Yeah, I mean, look, I understand the move to walk Shohei, but, you look at the day, he had just the one hit, which was the triple in his first at bat. So he wasn't necessarily ripping the cover off of the ball. I feel like people, I get criticized here for not completely blowing smoke up Shohei's butt every time he does anything. I treat him like a professional baseball player. And when he's good, I give him credit. I pat him on the back. I heap praise on him. When he's bad, I say he's bad. And he has been very, very good of late. So maybe they were looking at that. I don't know. It's tough. You're right. Look, this is part of what makes Dodger fans excited and frustrated all at the same time. Because when you've got those top 3 guys in the lineup and you cannot produce, even 4 if you throw in Teo, who's been very good. Not tonight. He was 0 for 5. But that is a murderer's row at the top of this lineup. With Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, and Hernandez. Will Smith has fallen off. He's down to number 5. They believe in the Dodger dugout, Dave Roberts and the coaching staff, that this lineup is best when Will Smith is batting 4th. Don't know if he'll ever get back there. 0 for 4 tonight. He started to find a little rhythm as well. But yeah, not really surprising to see that Mookie Betts came through in the clutch, because that's what Mookie Betts does. He is more automatic than Shohei Ohtani is, believe it or not. The average speaks to that. He's batting .302 now. His OPS is like just under 900, 890. BC was throwing the stat out even before we started in the chat. Obviously, Shohei's OPS is higher because of the slug, but Mookie Betts has been red hot, especially with runners in scoring position since he returned from the IL. 10 of 24 with 17 RBI. I mean, those numbers seem unheard of, and everyone's already anointing Shohei as the MVP. I'm like, slow down. There are other people that are in this race as well. I think the only reason you would consider Mookie Betts not a contender is because of the time off he missed with the broken hand. So, the top of this lineup is exactly what Dodger fans love about this team, especially when they're hot. When they're cold and the bottom of the lineup has to pick up the slack, there's a little bit of frustration, but I think the way they've been playing of late has been awesome. I mean, they've been red hot to come out of that series in Arizona with 3 wins in a playoff like atmosphere, when the Arizona Diamondbacks have been the hottest team in baseball since the All-Star break. And by the way, the Giants have made that game interesting. Nope, it's final. Arizona holds on for an 8-7 win there. But yeah, the top of this lineup is rather remarkable. And I think and maybe it's just me, I think the only downside is when they don't produce, you're really frustrated because you feel like they should every single time they come up.
Every single night. Yep. Yeah. I'll be honest. I was listening, of course, but I'm also dying laughing at these comments because everyone is coming at you. Look, Pete Fox hates Ohtani. Ohtani is a living legend, but Pete's not impressed. Here goes Pete. Second at bat, sir. Pete thinks Ohtani is mid. We're all here for Pete's take on unimpressive Ohtani. Hilarious. Everyone is ripping into you for that. I won't lie. When I tune into the occasional Dodgers postcast, I am surprised by the lack of praise for him. Obviously means a lot to this franchise. We'll get into it later in the show about the reception he received, but yeah, he's amazing.
Second at bat. Sorry. Thanks for clarifying. Second at bat was the triple in the 3rd inning. Okay.
Yeah.
I was also doing something else at the start of this game because the US Open was on. I had the tablet going and the television. I was in a sports bar tonight, and I love the fact that I make a handful of critical comments about Shohei when he was batting 140 for about 15 games. Yeah. And I wasn't impressed with that. Oh, I'm all of a sudden a Shohei hater. I can't get out of that now. That is my mantra. That is the cross I have to bear. No matter how much praise I heap on Shohei Ohtani, how great I think he's been over the last 15 games. No. You made one comment that was negative about Shohei over a stretch of period when he wasn't good, and that is unforgivable. All right, fair enough. Look, you guys blow all that smoke up his butt. Go for it. That's what makes you guys fans. We're here, like, we're fans, but we're here to be objective. Okay,
exactly.
And I don't know if all of you know what that means, but that means that I am going to analyze what happened, and then I'm going to be critical or praise it. Right? That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, exactly. Look, you got some defenders. Wear it, Pete. Not such a heavy cross, says Mark. There you go. He's telling you to be proud of it. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, in terms of from the Angels' perspective on this game, we'll get into it in the second segment about Reid Detmers. I think Angels fans can feel good. Obviously, this game means more than most regular season games. We talked about it during the first couple of games of this freeway series. Angels fans want to win this game. And with the Ohtani aspect, both when he was at Dodger Stadium and now with him coming back to the Big A, you want to win this game. It's funny how different these franchises are.
This is funny right here. Pete Ohtani sporting a UCLA basketball jersey in the batting cage. Now he hates Ohtani.
Hilarious.
Hey, my wife's granddaughter is going to UCLA, so I have to like UCLA a little bit, but I am a Trojan fan. I
can't like you for that one, Pete. I like you, but not for that. Not for that. But yeah, no, at the end of the day, for the Angels, like I was saying, it's just, we're in a very different state than you guys. You guys are A, trying to win, but B, want to see things that make you feel encouraged for the postseason. We're trying to win because we don't want to set the worst record of an Angel season ever. That's what we're going for right now. If we lose 95 or 96 games, that is our worst season ever. We're also on the road to avoiding 100 losses. Yeah. they're on you with this Ohtani stuff.
Fire.
It's
Nando,
hilarious.
be objective. Say Kershaw should have retired 4 years ago.
Yeah.
He did. I have said that, Nando. Come on.
That's the right take. That's the right take.
All I've said about Kershaw is they're going to keep running him out there till the end of the season. And because they got to find somebody to eat up innings. Let's just hope that, they don't think he's still Kershaw from 5 or 6 years ago. Let's hope that the Dodgers know that Kershaw is basically hanging on by a thread and is good like every third outing, maybe for a few innings. And let's hope that Kershaw knows that too, because I believe Kershaw would be the kind of guy that would, as much as he's a nose to the grindstone, I want to be in there, I want to play, I'm a gamer, etc. He knows that he's not what he was, right?
Yeah.
So I think he would say, hey, I'm not your guy, right? You have other guys that are your guy. So
exactly. And we'll talk about it after the break.
Yeah, we got to get to Buehler's performance.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I want to hear you talk about. Buehler. We'll talk about Detmers too, because like I said, we're not really nitpicking everything for the Angels, but one thing that does matter to us is how Reid Detmers looks in his first start back from the minors. USC, we'll see what happens with USC, UCLA. Okay, BC, calm down. We're talking about baseball, BC. Leave my Bruins alone, okay? We'll take our first break. When we come back, we will discuss Walker Buehler. We'll talk about Reid Detmers, two pitchers that, for different reasons, we're intrigued seeing how they performed today against two very different lineups. We'll leave it at that. But we'll take our first break. We'll talk about it all when we come back on this special crossover edition of the Locked On Angels and Locked On Dodgers Postcast. We'll be right back. Now, today's show is brought to you by Game Time. I love Game Time. If you're a loyal, some of these Dodgers fans might not know it, but if you're a loyal Angels postcaster, you know that I love Game Time. I tell the story every time about how I went to New York for a week, and in a span of 6 days, I used Game Time twice on the subway, on the way to the game, was 20 minutes away from the stadium, whether it was the New York Liberty game at Barclays or at Yankee Stadium for a Yankees game. Both times, I used Game Time. I bought my ticket on the way to the game, and it's so sweet. You save money. Now they have this amazing feature called Game Time Picks. It makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. For example, on Labor Day, they had an amazing offer where you could get 50% off a Diamondbacks-Dodgers game. Now, all my Angels postcasters, we don't care about that, but you Dodgers fans, hopefully you took advantage of that. That's just one example of the great offers you can get on Game Time. There's so many great parts of Game Time. I love the all-in pricing feature. You toggle this feature on and it shows you the full price. Not, you're going to check out and all of a sudden the tickets are $30 more expensive. It shows you the actual price when you're looking for your seat. They have views from your seat, the lowest price guarantee, Game Time ticket coverage, and so much more. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets and other tickets as well. Sports, comedy, everything with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Back here live on the special crossover edition of the Locked On Angels and Locked On Dodgers Postcast. He's Pete Fox, the Dodgers Postcast host. I am Gavin Carlson for the Angels Postcast. Pete, a lot happier than me today. The Dodgers beat the Angels at the Big A 6-2 in extra innings. The return of Shohei Ohtani to the Big A. We'll talk about that at the end. The reception, mostly cheers, a few boos, but I thought a respectable ovation for Mr. Ohtani in his return to the Angels Stadium. Let's talk about these starting pitchers, though, because I know two guys that have been struggling in recent months in very different scenarios. Walker Buehler, coming back from an injury, has kind of been underwhelming all year for the Dodgers. Reid Detmers came into this year. Angels had high expectations for him. He underwhelmed so much that we sent him down to the minors. This is his first start back after a trip to minor leagues where he was working on that control. He couldn't locate his fastball. He couldn't locate his off-speed pitches. And we'll get to Buehler in a second. But, Pete, I want to hear your thoughts on Reid Detmers and I guess the Dodgers lineup against him. Were you underwhelmed by the Dodgers' performance today? Because Detmers in 6 innings gives up just 3 hits. He strikes out 10. Two walks isn't great, especially when we're looking at control. But this is a guy who came in with a 5, almost a 6 ERA, and he's able to limit the Dodgers to just 2 runs through 6 innings. Were you underwhelmed by the Dodgers' offensive performance against Reid Detmers tonight?
Not really. Look, one of those strikeouts was a complete job by the umpire. It was a good 6 inches outside. So really he had 9 strikeouts, but who's counting? The fact was that the Dodgers put a lot into that series in Arizona against the Diamondbacks. I wasn't really surprised. And the Angels always get up for these Dodger games, right? So the stadium being full gives the players a different energy. That's not something that Angel fans are used to. Obviously they do show up, but not like, the stadium's not full. There's 20,000 there on a regular night. Tonight it was full. And you have to assume that the fans give the players energy, and there's a different atmosphere when the Dodgers take on the Angels. Even though half of that place was filled with Dodger fans, it's still a different energy. I fully predicted that this was going to be a close game. Ultimately, when it was all said and done, the score does not represent how close it was throughout, but yeah, I didn't think the Dodgers were going to come into this game with their bats a-blazing, because they put a lot into that series in Arizona, 32 runs in all over the 4 games. And that was with one game where they got shellacked 14-3. So, not terribly surprised by the way this one started. But yeah, Detmers looked good. He was hitting spots, and the action was good on his fastball. His off speed looked good. And as for Walker Buehler, his last outing was the best one that we've seen from him all year. He's starting to figure things out. He talked about some of the mechanics in his delivery. It's just feeling better every single time. Last time out, the action on the curveball was really sharp, hard 12-6 action. Today it was good, but not as good as last time. So I feel like he's still a work in progress. The big question is he going to be a reliable starter for them in the postseason?
Exactly.
I think, most Dodger fans at this point would be willing to flip a coin on that, because I don't know that we have a ton of confidence in where Walker Buehler is right now. Now, if he'd have come out today and give us another performance like he did last time, I think obviously there would be more confidence. There would be momentum associated, but 5 innings is good. 2 runs on 5 hits. He struck out 6. So, he had good action on the fastball, also hitting corners and spots. So I think, you grade this start as maybe a B-. I don't think it was terrible. Did give up 2 home runs, one on a cutter, one on a fastball. Nice piece of hitting there by Ohtani and Ward. So a handful of mistakes really ultimately. So a good outing. I don't have a lot to criticize him for, other than maybe it would have been nice to get 6, but they don't necessarily have that as a goal from the dugout. They're not like, yeah, we need 6 out of you. They're like, if you give us 5, they're perfectly happy. And that's what he did. So a good performance from him all in all.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we joke about it in the Angels community, whether it's myself or the Halo Bros on the Locked On Angels podcast. It seems like the Angels lineup, it's a great get right lineup, right? Like, we see so many struggling pitchers pitch against the Angels and have their best start in a month, their best start in 6. I mean, literally against the Blue Jays, I'm blanking on the guy's name, but the Blue Jays call up a guy, or he's in the bullpen. He has like 2 career starts, and then he throws a no-hitter through 8 1/3 innings against the Angels. The Angels are the team you want to play if you're trying to, find some momentum, and I think it's a perfect spot for Walker Buehler. The Angels just kind of had a typical Angels game where if you don't have an extra base hit, you're not going to score. Obviously, they're able to have 2 solo home runs. Us Angels fans are very pleased to see Logan Ohtani hit a home run, because, oh my goodness, has he fallen off in the past couple of months. So hopefully he can string together a couple good weeks to end the season. But yeah, Walker Buehler looked okay. I'm not going to judge his start too much, because like I said, he's going against a very pedestrian Angels lineup. For Detmers, last thing I'll say is I was pretty satisfied. I honestly thought that this was a pretty poor spot for him to show up. The Angels actually had 2 minor league guys make their MLB debuts this past weekend against the Mariners, and that's an ideal team. One of the worst lineups, if not the worst hitting lineup in all of baseball, maybe other than like the White Sox and a couple others. And so those are great spots for guys to make their debuts. Detmers comes back from minors, and he's got to go against the Dodgers. So I was not looking forward to it, especially because the Dodgers absolutely destroy lefties. But I thought he did a pretty good job. 68 strikes and 100 pitches. Like we said, got through 6 innings. One thing I'm seeing here is a lot of people asking, including Los Dodgers World Series champs. He says, were you on board, Gavin, with Ron Washington's decision walking Ohtani? We already talked about extras a little bit, but I will say, Roansy Contreras is a righty. And I'm a huge proponent of, facing the same hand as the pitcher. So I was still for walking Ohtani to have a righty-righty matchup with Contreras against Mookie Betts. I'm not going to blame Ron Washington for it. I've been very critical of some late-game decisions from Ron Washington. I wasn't even here this past weekend to give my take on the failed suicide squeeze. Again, Ron Washington is obsessed with that. But in terms of the decision to walk Ohtani, obviously Monday morning quarterbacks are going to say, it didn't work out. Mookie Betts hit a 3-run home run. Logically, I thought it made sense. Shohei Ohtani is the best player in baseball. It's just unfortunate that with the Dodgers, you have probably the 3rd best player in baseball or something right after him in Mookie Betts. But that's my take on that. We're going to take our last break here. Go ahead, Pete.
They probably still lose the game, 5-2.
Exactly. Exactly.
Or 4-2 or whatever. I mean, the Dodger bullpen was lights out. I don't know that I've seen this many zeros on the box score for the Dodgers bullpen. They have a grand total of 2 numbers, a 2 for Hudson with Ks, and Trinan had 1 K. Other than that, it was all zeros. Hudson, Phillips, Trinan, Kopech, and Brazier. I mean, that is as lights out as it
Pete,
gets.
It's the Angels, Pete. It's the Angels, all right? I got to remind you. It's the Angels. I agree. You want to see that if you're a Dodgers fan, but I'm just saying, don't think this means you're going to shut down the Yankees or something. All right. Look at you can just quickly look at the averages and the OPSs in our lineup. And we got Brandon Drury still hitting 7th. This guy has he's a 4.63 OPS and he's hitting 7th in this lineup. So, but still, yes, you're right. The bullpen looked impressive, but Walker Buehler looked good. And at the end of the day, like you said, it wasn't going to be an easy win for the Dodgers, just given everything this game meant for both teams. When we come back, I want to hear your thoughts on the Angels crowd reception for Shohei Ohtani. I'll give mine, and then we'll wrap this one up here on this special crossover edition of the Locked On Angels and Locked On Dodgers postcast. We'll be right back.
All right, tonight's episode of the Locked On Dodgers, Locked On Angels crossover postcast is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Well, they have something special for you, a little different. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet just $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. And if you've never had the Sunday Ticket, it is definitely addicting. Then with YouTube, if you have a base plan, YouTube TV that is, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out of market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Again, all you got to do is bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of the NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV now through September 22nd. And for those of you who are just waking up from a Labor Day hangover, it's September 3rd today. So check it out. Head to FanDuel.com for the details. Download the app and check it out today. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. I also want to mention something else real quick here, Gavin. I don't know if you saw it, but for the Dodger podcast fans, Jeff and Vince will be on live on the Locked On Dodgers YouTube channel here as soon as we're done.
There you go. And I will also say for my Angels fans, I know I was not here on Sunday and Saturday. And of course, the Angels win 2 games, right, when I'm not here. So that was hilarious. And I was punching the air, as they like to say. On Saturday, I was doing the UCLA postcast, and I don't know about you, Pete, but I forgot how long football games are because that game started at 4:30. The Angels game, I think that night started at like 7. So I was thinking UCLA game's going to end at 7:30, like a 3-hour game. I'll do the 30-minute show. It'll be 8, and maybe we'll be in like the 5th inning of the Angels game. I can catch the end of that and then do the Angels postcast. The UCLA game took like 3.5 hours, and the score was 16-13. It's not like it was touchdowns every 2 seconds. That was A, one of the worst football games I've ever seen, and B, it still took 3.5 hours despite there being no score. So I don't know about you, but I forgot how long football games are. I love it. I love football, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to do the Angels postcast that night as a result. So just putting that out there. And then Pete got his USC win on Sunday that I was not very happy about, to say the least. But we'll jump into the thoughts here. I mean, the story coming in, of course, Shohei Ohtani, the official return to the Big A. There were some questions in the Angels community. Was he going to get a full ovation? Were there going to be boos? Were there going to be cheers? Was there going to be a combination of both? I'd say it went about as I expected. Kind of that delayed ovation, right? Where like everyone's kind of looking around to see what's going to happen. You hear some claps, but then you hear some boos, and then kind of people realize, wait, we shouldn't be booing this guy, and then the cheers kind of overpower the boos. Look, my opinion, just for those who are curious, I think it would be absolutely ridiculous to boo Shohei Ohtani. Obviously, it hurts that he chose to leave the Angels to go to the team across town, to go to, a typical kind of rival in the Dodgers, right? At the end of the day, the writing was on the wall. He was not going to stay, and I don't blame him. This franchise gave him no reason to stay. And I mean, imagine if he were to have stayed. Look what he would have dealt with. Mike Trout missing another year, Anthony Rendon refusing to play baseball, Artie Moreno not investing in the rotation, and then at the deadline doing the wrong things, right? I mean, we all know, if you're an Angels fan, that this franchise is a disaster, and I don't blame him for leaving. Yes, it's unfortunate that he chose the team across town, but it also happens that the team across town was kind of the no-brainer best destination for him to go to. So I thought it would have been ridiculous to boo him. I'm glad it was mainly cheers, and we'll see. I mean, tomorrow I doubt there'll be anything because he got his claim to fame today. But were you surprised at all by the reaction? What did you expect coming in, Pete?
Yeah, no, I kind of like the Angel fans are always true to the people that it's not. This is a Southern California thing, or
Right.
California in general. Like if he left the Phillies to go to the Nationals or something, now that would be a completely different vibe unless he won them a championship or something. But in this particular situation, I kind of expected that they would give him a round of applause. That's the mentality that you get from Angel fans. They're just out. Look, the team is bad. They've been bad for a long time. They're just out there to enjoy the game of baseball and a beautiful stadium, right? They're just out there to have fun. And there's no reason. Shohei's a likable guy. I know everyone thinks I don't like him, which is not true, but he's a likable guy. He's hard not to like, He's over the top nice, when he hits a foul ball towards the dugout, he's always, oh, sorry. He's apologizing to everybody. Shohei's a good guy. He's not a hard ass. He's not the type of guy that you can really dislike. Again, I like him. I am a fan. I'm glad he's on our team. I think he is a fantastic hitter. Here's another thing that proves that I am not a hater of Shohei. There are not many dudes on the Dodger team that make me go, oh, but Shohei has made me do that multiple times this year where I'm like, damn, did you see that ball? Like he is a stop what you're doing guy. Right. So the Angel fans, they all kind of, I use the dating analogy, Gavin, when the Angels had Shohei on their team, they were out kicking the coverage. They were dating out of their league. They're like, there's no way that hot girl belongs with me. Right. So they're just like, yeah, of course he moved on. Of course. It didn't make any sense that we were going out for 5 years, for crying out loud. We had a great 5 years. It was awesome that we got to watch him. And now he's just up the road, so sometimes that makes it worse. I always say if the Chargers moved to San Antonio or something, San Diego Charger fans would not be nearly as pissed as they are. Yeah. They're still not over it. But some of them are, some of them are seeing the writing that, coming to their senses rather, that, there's no point in being upset about it anymore. The city was never going to buy them a new stadium. Or fund a new stadium. Anyway, it's the same kind of thing with Shohei. The Angels were never going to fund Shohei Ohtani. They just weren't. That's not who Artie Moreno is.
Yes, indeed. Speaking of, you brought up, Shohei making you go, oh my. One thing that made me go, oh my today, and I would assume you as well. How about Ben Joyce throwing 105.5 to strike out Tommy Edman? I mean, he's special. I mean, it's funny because when he originally came up this season, he was throwing 104, but the problem is he A, had no control, and B, he had no secondary pitch. Ironically, he has improved so much this year when he's actually taken some stuff, so a couple miles an hour off the fastball, or just the main thing is he got that sinker. He's throwing that sinker splinker, they call it. And it's ironic for him, a splinker is like 98 miles an hour. But, he still, if he wants, can just rear back and throw a fastball 104 plus consistency. And how about 105.5 to strike out Tommy Edman? I mean, at that point, the game is tied. It's the top of the ninth inning. And whenever we bring in Ben Joyce, there is a sense of comfort for me as an Angels fan. In the past, when he originally came up, it was a complete opposite. He was throwing balls into the opposing batter's box on the other side of the plate, all over the place. Now I'm like, Ben Joyce, even if it's the Dodgers, he's going to come in and shut things down and give us a little bit of excitement. And that's exactly what we had in the top of the ninth. So thank goodness for Ben Joyce. He gives Angels fans something to be excited about every game, even when they're down. In this case, it was a tie game. It was a really important inning, a really important at-bat. And so I'd say, believe it or not, you might be surprised, but obviously the loss hurts. But I am actually pretty satisfied with this game for the Angels. Reid Detmers looked better than I expected. Ben Joyce did his thing. And my, oh my, did Logan O'Hoppe need that home run, because he has been awful as of late. So I guess it's a win-win. Obviously, it would have been a lot greater if the Angels won this game, from my point of view. But Pete, you get your win. I get a couple of things to be happy about with the Angels, and that's about as good as it can be as an Angels fan in 2024. We're still trying to get away from 100 losses. I think we're going to be okay, thanks to those 2 wins over the weekend. But yeah, let's just say we're in a little bit of different situations, me and Pete.
We got 20, 22, 23 more games, so it's going to be tight. I don't think they're going to lose them all, but who knows? Dodgers now 84-55, best record in baseball. Mookie Betts, the only Dodger. This is interesting. Somebody mentioned it in the chat. The only Dodger with a batting average over 300 at 302. Ohtani's dropped below at 292, but he's more about the slug. Freddie's at 289. Teo's at 267. Will Smith down to 245. He was batting 340 in June. It's crazy that he's fallen off the map the way that he has, but he's gotten some clutch hits of late. Shohei Ohtani has been here we go, guys. Shohei Ohtani fans, I'm going to heap some love right now. 7 games. What is he? 9 of his last 30. So that's pretty good. Yeah. I don't know if that's MVP numbers right there. The reason that everyone believes that Shohei Ohtani is going to win the MVP is because of the home run and stolen bases. Right. Yeah. Those 2 stats are what is going to win him the MVP. 44 home runs now and 46 stolen bases. I think he gets to 50 stolen bases, no problem. Yeah. I said yesterday, I think the home run thing is going to be tight, but I think he's good for probably 3 to 4 more. I don't think 44, the Dodger all-time home run season record is 48. Sean Green, I believe, has that record now. So I think he ties that record, and 49 maybe. So it's I don't know. That's going to be way tighter than the stolen base thing, I think. We'll see.
No, I think he's the MVP. It's funny too. The Angels had a little video for Shohei, when him returning, and it's like you almost forget everything he accomplished with the Angels, because as a team they did nothing, but they're just flashing up Rookie of the Year, MVPs, so all this stuff for him. It's like the guy's unbelievable. At the end of the day, there's not many guys on planet Earth that can back up that type of contract. And I would say, maybe you disagree, Pete, but I'd say he's backing it up, because, I mean, there's been no contract in MLB history that's put that much pressure on a guy. He's not even doing half of his job as a pitcher, and yet he's still arguably already living up to the money. He's like, you know what? I guess I can't, throw 8-inning shutouts, so I'll just steal every base, once a game. So, he's unbelievable. But God, we miss him.
Real quick, don't you think, Gavin, that has played into him being a better hitter? I think when he becomes a pitcher again next year, he's not going to be able to hit like this. I mean, it's nice to see this is kind of the setting the curve for what he could be as a hitter. All right. We haven't seen him just pitch, and we probably never will. But the fact is that when he's doing both, there's no way he's going to be able to keep this up. And I think that is also playing into the hand of him being the MVP, because they're like, wow, look how great he is. And we know he can pitch, although he's not pitching right now. Speaking of pitching, real quick for the Dodgers, they threw out a Yamamoto update during the game, a 2-inning rehab stint in Oklahoma City, 53 pitches over 2 innings. So not necessarily dialed in. They're not really sure as to what is next. Probably another rehab start.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, last thing I'll say on Ohtani is I agree. I think the main thing is when he starts pitching again, I don't know about you, if I was a Dodgers fan, as much as it brings another amazing aspect of his game, I don't want to see one of my starting pitchers diving into second base, stealing bags every night. I get it's a huge weapon to have, but I don't know about, I don't know, and I haven't been watching the Dodgers regularly, but I don't think the Dodgers need Shohei to steal second in order to win games. And I would, if I was a Dodgers fan, it's kind of the same thing as when you're like a fan of a quarterback, or your NFL team has a quarterback that he can run, and you want to see him run, but maybe only when he can run out of bounds, or maybe only when he can comfortably slide. If I'm a Ravens fan, I don't really want to see Lamar Jackson, running a designed QB draw up the middle, knowing he's going to have 300 pounds land on him at the end of the run. And so maybe I don't know if you think that's an accurate analogy, but if I'm a Dodgers fan, I maybe get a little worried seeing Shohei Ohtani stealing second base every time. He's relatively durable. I wouldn't say he's extremely durable. I mean, he's been relatively healthy for the Dodgers, and we know everyone that plays for the Angels gets hurt, but we know that's an Angels thing more than a player thing. But that's my take. I agree that he'll probably hit a little bit less once he starts pitching, but I think the main thing is I wouldn't be surprised if we see the stolen base numbers go down a bit and just maybe, protect him a little bit more physically.
Potentially. Look, the new rules have made stealing bases a whole lot easier. So
true.
It's not, he steals bases without even throws a lot of the times.
Yeah,
it's
you're right.
very rarely close. I mean, it is remarkable that such a big guy can steal bases so easily. That is a surprising thing. And maybe the other reason, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe the other reason I'm not as impressed with Shohei this year is because he's not pitching. I'm so used to him doing both. When I'm like, of course he's a good hitter. We all know that, but he's only hitting. Get out there and pitch. And then if you could pitch and hit 45, 44 home runs, then I'll be impressed. I'm impressed. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I am impressed.
The highest bar of all time for a baseball player, Pete Fox. You need to be Babe Ruth plus in 2024 in order for me to be impressed. That's what he said in quotes, Pete Fox.
Look, I've said this over and over, and this will be my final thought on Shohei for the day. The fact that guy has one of the, his hitting technique is contrary to what they teach. Yeah. It is not the way you're taught to be a hitter. His whole front side is flying out. The fact that he can do that and still launch balls 420 feet to the opposite field is amazing. Yeah. It is remarkable. The amount of strength that requires and the timing that requires is second to none. It is amazing what that guy can do. But when he strikes out with all of that flying out of the front side, it just looks terrible. I'm sorry. It's just like, ooh, God, ugh. It just makes you get that bitter beer face. You're just like, ugh, that was awful. But when he does that and the ball flies out of the stadium, you're like, oh my God, that was amazing. So I'm a fan. Let's just say that. Let's leave it there. 6-2 the final tonight, Gavin. Dodgers 6 in a row, 5.5 clear of the Padres, and still 6 in front of the Diamondbacks, who won tonight in San Francisco. Thanks for nothing, gents.
Angels 57 and 81.
You're a Giants fan too, aren't you? You're a Giants fan.
I'm a Bay Area guy.
Deep down.
I grew up in the Bay Area, of course. I trust me. I hate the Dodgers for multiple reasons. I grew up in the Bay, Giants and Angels. There's nothing I hate more than seeing the Dodgers doing what they're doing. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, Angels fans, let's not set the record for the most losses in a year. That's our goal. Let's see some of our guys of the future: Zach Neto, Nolan Schanuel, Logan O'Hoppe, have nice ends to 2024, and that's about all we can ask for. But with all that being said, thank you, Pete Fox. He's Pete Fox, Dodgers Postcast host. I'm Gavin Carlson for the Angels Postcast. We will be back tomorrow. We'll do another crossover because, of course, not just one game. We'll keep this three-way series going tomorrow. Hopefully, at least from my side of things, on my side of the screen, hopefully the Angels win it. Let's split this going into tomorrow. But thanks to everybody for being here. Love seeing the big crowd. Love seeing the mix of Angels and Dodgers fans in the chat. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow. And I don't care if Pete's here. I don't care if half the people are Dodgers fans, as I always do after every single show. Go Angels, everybody. Take care. Have a great rest of your night.
See you tomorrow.
Angels.